This is part 4 of my reaction to Myra West's video, The Struggles of Dating for a Shy Romantic. Now, in the other parts, she talked about how she hates flirting and kind of how she basically avoids communicating with men in general, and how she wishes that basically there wasn't intimacy until God knows how long into dating, which is quite outrageous. She has some strange perspectives. We're going to keep watching and she's going to keep getting into this. I'll watch the next couple minutes. I haven't seen the full video. We're going to see how far we can get and discuss. It's going to get a lot of talk of intimacy, so
This person, you get to
be
know
prepared.
this person, you spend time together, you do all the cute things together, and you move incredibly slowly in the romance and physical side. This isn't coming from a religious standpoint at all. This is coming from me, like what I want. I think that like getting sexual too soon or getting intimate or not intimate, but getting physical too soon.
Well, your idea of too soon is wildly outside of the norm. 95% of people are going to be looking to get intimate. Maybe not fully go all the way, but a good amount of physical intimacy within by the end of the second date, at least. For there to be none of that by the third date is outrageous to 95% of people.
Ruins love. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to offend anybody. Like, whoever wants to do it that way, like sex first, whoever wants to do it, I don't judge at all. Like,
No, it elevates love. It grows love, right? So when you're dating somebody at the beginning, you're building a connection, an emotional connection, conversational connection. Emotions are happening. You're getting to know each other, and you can express that connection and affection by physical means. It's one of the most effective ways. And then once that happens, it kind of opens the door, right? It kind of it establishes that connection that you've been building and elevates it and grows it. And typically, in my experience, is that once that occurs, then women in general, women more than men, it suddenly opens them up, allows them a level of comfort and closeness that allows them to be a lot more open. So that connection and that love that's forming will grow a lot more naturally because of it. So it actually makes love a lot better and a lot more real.
used to judge. I used to, but not anymore. I respect it. If it works for you, good for you. But for me, I love, like, I always feel like I have to defend myself. And this is something else that I think men, like, don't know about me, or they assume the worst. But I love the physical side of a relationship. In fact, it's my favorite part of a relationship. One of my favorites. It's something that I value and that I want and that I think about. But I don't just think about it and want it with any old Joe. And it's extremely important to me. What I want at the beginning of getting to know someone is just to get to know someone. Oh, and that's another thing.
Basically, what she wants is to be friends with some guy for years, and for that slowly over more years to develop into dating. And then once they get to the dating phase, who knows, a year before they get intimate. She's not being real specific on timelines, but that's it's sounding like just to date her is a, like, to go from first meeting her to dating her, and her perfect situation would be a 5+ year thing, which is crazy, right? Like, there's a reason that people don't bother being friends before they start dating, and they instead see if there's a connection there by dating, and then build the friendship through dating and having a relationship. It's a much more logical, faster process. It's a lot more efficient to do things that way. It's obviously it's riskier with your emotions. You risk getting your heart broken, but once you do it, you just get used to it, right? Like you accept that can happen, and you just appropriately keep your guard up, right? Like it's like she wants this relationship to fall out of the sky, take this incredibly slow pacing that no one in regular society would be down for, would be comfortable with. And it's actually perfectly the opposite. Like she thinks that she's protecting herself, her emotions and her feelings by doing it this way. But what she doesn't understand is she's actually setting herself up for a lot worse heartbreak, right? Because if you have this insane 5+ year process, right, then both you and the person who's pursuing you for 5 years you're both setting yourself up. You're building all these expectations. And she's going to talk about how it's better if you build up all this expectations. No, that's not better, because then you're not actually living in reality at all, and those expectations are never going to be met. First of all, people change as time goes on, and secondly, those expectations aren't reality, right? Like you're living in a fantasy world, and you want to like drag somebody else to this fantasy world where they're putting their emotions at risk too. Because think about how much more significant it is when people. This is why people struggle so much with dating, and why it's so bizarre when you hear about them and they're like in love with one person and they're talking about this one person like 10 years later. It's because they think this is like normal. They think this makes any sense, and it doesn't. No, you don't want to. You're putting all your eggs in this one basket for like 5 to 10 years without even having any kind of relationship, without having any kind of intimacy, without actually dating the person. How crazy is that? That would hurt so much more than if you went on a date with somebody and after like a month or two it doesn't work out, right? Because then you've only invested like a month of your life or two. But you're talking about doing this like crazy like 5-year investment, and no men are going to be down for putting their emotions on the line, their feelings on the line like that in this this friendship where you're actually vibing each other, but you never do anything about it for like years. You're going to be building this friendship for years and never act on the feelings that you have. That sounds like torture. That sucks. That's the friend zone. What you're describing is you friend zoning a guy for who knows how long, and you expect him to like completely ignore all regular dating conventions, be obsessed with you for like 5 years, and then you're gonna go out with them. Maybe if it's even a guy that you like, the guy might be developing all these feelings, and it's not even a guy that you're interested in, but you're expecting a guy to take that level of risk and genuinely make that level of commitment to you without you giving any sign that you're into him, interested in dating. Think about how effed up that actually is. Think about how much harm that would do to both the guy and you, right? Especially, imagine this. This happens, right? You friend zone a guy for like 5 years. You do this insanely long process of getting to know each other and then dating, and then it doesn't work out anyway. And that you date for 2 months anyway, and it still doesn't work out. That's what's like the most likely outcome here, because you're talking about dating in a way that's like this weird fantasy world gobbledygook, like just this craziness. This isn't the process of dating. You're talking about you're it's like you're trying to do something in a totally different way than what is the way that people just normally do it, and I don't know why.
I feel like no men, and this is jaded, and I'm sure it's wrong. I know it's wrong, but it feels like at this time that no men in the dating scene are interested in actually getting to know you as a person.
That's wildly wrong. That's like, what an insane statement.
Because everybody's so focused on the physical side, the attraction side, the sex part, the kissing, the everything, the flirting. All of that is a distraction from the connection and the...
No, once again, it elevates the connection. It grows the connection. It takes the connection to a next level. It allows both people to open up to each other, to trust each other more, to get to know each other on a better level. Now, you're saying that people aren't focusing on getting to know each other. They're focusing on the intimacy. That's actually the opposite for the reasons that you're describing, right? Now, yes, you could say people are probably getting it on more than they ever have before. Maybe that's an aspect of dating. I don't buy into that, considering I know guys who, in their 50s, in their 60s, in their 70s, who describe a dating culture when they were like teenagers and in their 20s that is identical to today. Obviously, they didn't have the internet, but they just had to go out into bars, to events, and meet people face to face. They had to riz people face to face. But ultimately, it's the exact same culture. Young people hooking up, craziness, right? Like, just, I don't know if a lot of people don't seem to understand this, but look at the hippies. Look up hippies. Like, Google it. Maybe watch some YouTube videos. See what they were up to, right? Like, stuff was crazy in the past. People get this insanely romantic, false view of dating in the past, and like movies just destroy people's idea of dating, much like it has with this woman, and it's tragic. And because even if you want to say the internet makes sex very easily available today, and I would agree with you, that's the case. But if that's doing anything, it's actually making that aspect of dating, the hooking up part, it makes it like less significant, because you could argue that at some point in the past there was a requirement that you be in a long-term committed relationship to get that physical intimacy, right? Or because of religion's hold on society in the past, that was a bigger expectation, and that those societal expectations have been dissolved. So that makes it so men and women can get action real easy, really easy, right? So that actually makes those aspects of relationships a lot less significant, right? Like, there's way less of a build up and pressure around physical intimacy because of that, because we've all experienced it, right? Like, it makes it just not the end all be all, not the focus, right? I guarantee you, every man out there would rather have a woman who's chill, who doesn't bring them like drama and hardship to their life, who's just genuinely a good person, a good partner, someone they can get along with, someone they can have fun with, someone they can build a life with. There's no guys out there who would give that up just for a good lay. No guys, right? Like, guys focus entirely on personality and who the person is and how compatible they are. That is the main focus of men, I guarantee you.
But getting to know each other deeply and enjoying time together. And like, people have told me, oh, you're just a lesbian, you just need a woman. Like, that's not what men are like. And I will not accept that, because I know it to not be true now.
What are you talking about? You don't know it to not be true. You have no idea what you're talking about. You've barely dated. Like, you have some kind of weird hang up on physical intimacy. You have issues that you could use some therapy about. Because, like I said, you are, like, hugely outside of the societal norm of modern dating. You are, right? Like, watch videos about it on YouTube. Watch people talk about it. Now, people typically don't focus super heavily on that exact topic, but you're out to lunch here, and I don't know, you're just classifying men in a way that just doesn't make sense.
Ow. Sure, there's probably a lot of men who expect to be physical immediately or soon, and who will not put up with anything else, and whatever. I don't want those men at all.
But that expectation is reasonable. That has mostly been established by women. Like, come on. Like, people say that women are the gatekeepers to sex. Sure, you could say that. I would say it's a little bit more collaborative than that, but this isn't like... It's weird. It's like you're just blaming men for this. And the way it works, right, is if you're not having physical intimacy of any kind by the end of the second date, any man is going to assume that you're not into him. Any woman is going to definitely assume you're not into her. If there's, like, no intimacy of any kind, after a second date, like 2 dates that went well, and there's nothing, oh my god, first of all, you're just genuinely not building the connection that you could be. And that's going to make anybody think, like, hey, this person's not very into me. Why do they want to go out with me a third time if they're not wanting to get close to me after the second date? Doesn't make a lot of sense.
I am looking for a specific man. I don't care if I don't attract all the other men. I would like just one man, please. I'm just looking to find one. And the one that I find is someone who we can just enjoy each other's company so much. And we can enjoy, I'm getting emotional. We can enjoy having conversations together. We can talk all night. We can just talk endlessly. And, like, of course the physical attraction is there. And throughout the weeks that we get to know each other, we want to, like, kiss each other. We want to touch each other. We're getting closer to each other. And, like, I mean...
All right, there she said weeks. So at least that's some kind of timeline. I still don't know exactly when this, like, intimacy is going to start. But this idea, like, this is exactly what guys want. And the thing is that people aren't going to be, like, super comfortable jumping right into that if they haven't established a physical connection with a partner, right? Like, the physical connection opens the door for what you're describing, those late night talks, right? Because think about it. Think about this. You go on a date. Date goes well, so you want to spend more time with each other. And that time results in you, one person, spending the night at, say, the place of the other person. So say you go to the bed and you have some fun of whatever kind. Well, guess what? That's not going to last all night. You know, unless you're on, like, some serious substances, that isn't lasting literally all night. So between the time of that physical intimacy and falling asleep allows the time for that free-flowing conversation, those late-night conversations. Again, you're kind of describing somebody who I think you genuinely would not actually be attracted to if it were to happen. If you were to actually do this, you would be hella turned off in the long run by whatever guy would be down with this. Because what you're talking about is, like, dating, but without actually dating. dating without without establishing that physical connection, which would just, to me, would feel very like empty and unrewarding, and like it would be a giant barrier in the way of building that connection and trust and getting to know each other.
I mean, there's not really a timeline that I'm expecting this stuff to happen at. It can happen sooner rather than later, but still, it's supposed to be slow.
No, it's not. No, it is not. It is not supposed to be slow. No, 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 no. You are wrong. No. False. Incorrect. You are not correct. That statement you just made is incorrect. I don't know how else to put it, but my goodness. If you are doing something that like no one else is doing in society, then you can't make statements like it's supposed to be this way. Like you're living in some fantasy romantic comedy, non-reality movie BS that is in no way reflective of real people and real relationships. And you can't say it's supposed to be this way. Like there's lots of things that are supposed to be, right? Like ideally I could start a relationship with whoever and they would just actually be committed and there wouldn't be cheating. There wouldn't be this, that, all kinds of BS, right? That would be great if we existed in a society where there wasn't all these awful things that come along with dating. Horrible, horrible things. Horrific things, right? Things like people pulling selfish moves to try to get child support. People trying to screw their partner over. People trying to ruin their ex's life. People trying to people trying to cheat. People lying, stealing. Just the most horrific crap. That'd be great if that didn't exist, right? If we lived in this fantasy movie world, hey, I would just find somebody and we'd just be together forever. Some stuff like divorce would basically be non-existent. But no, we live in the real world.
It's supposed to be slow, like the beauty and the romance and the passion, all of that comes from wanting something and not quite being able to have it yet.
That is such a ridiculous statement. No. The beauty and the love of a relationship doesn't come from just that early part where you're excited because you haven't seen the other person naked yet, because you want to bang them and you haven't done it yet. No, that's like little kid stuff. That's like puppy love. That's not real love. That's not a real connection. Like, come on. My goodness. Like, what are you talking about here? Like, yeah, there's anticipation can be built, but there's way more important things than just, like, anticipation. That is so ridiculous, right? Like, you're talking about how you want to find the one man and spend the rest of your life with him. Well, guess what? That anticipation is only going to last, like, a couple of months, if that. Right? That feeling that you're talking about, that isn't actually love at all. It fades. And you're talking about being with somebody for decades, for like the rest of your life, for a lifetime. All those feelings aren't going to be there for like 90% of that time. Over 90%, over 95% of that time of that relationship. None of those types of feelings are going to be there. Like it's you have no idea about relationships because you've only been in one, and if this kind of stuff was going on, no wonder it didn't work out. And I can't imagine that it was all that. It can't be that great. I say this about anybody, right? There's so many people where say that they're married to their like whoever they dated in high school, the first relationship that they got in resulted in like a marriage. You don't even know what you're into. You don't even know what you like. You don't even know what your like preferences are. You didn't actually experience dating and select somebody It's just you were like 15 or whatever. You happen to start dating this person. You didn't apply any of the standards that you know that you develop through dating, through your teens, early 20s, and even beyond that. Your filters, your dating preferences change as time goes on, and also you as a person changes as time goes on. Like you weren't in no way are you an adult when you're 15 years old. So it's like these people who have only been in like one relationship are ridiculous. Their relationships are not that ain't love. I'm sorry, it's like there's love there. I'm not saying these people don't love each other, but it's love without experience, without having experienced life without the person, without having like knowledge. It's like saying the grass is greener it's saying the grass is greener on the side of the fence that you're on, but with never ever seeing the grass on the other side. But imagine a fence where the other side is like what would it be? Like, say this fence has like 100 sides to it, or hundreds of sides to it, and on each of those sides, potential sides, is a totally different patch of grass. And you don't know if literally every of those 100 plus patches of grass on the other side of those fence are all greener or like all less green. You have no idea. You can't know. You're just assuming that what you have is better than anything else. So I the phrase the grass isn't always greener on the other side. The grass also isn't always greener on your side.
Or like having to wait for it. Like that's the good part. And also like not pushing yourself past.
And I'm not saying you need to like date hundreds of different people. I'm just saying you need to date a couple. You need to like you need to at least poke your head above the fence and like maybe at least look at other patches of grass. Get at least a vague outline of what might be going on, of what situation you might yourself be in. And it's also the thing where these people genuinely have no context of themselves even outside of a relationship. What single them is like, what they do when they're just single, right? Like there's so much reflection that is done in dating different people and being alone that these people in these insanely like one relationship in their whole life, they just aren't seeing. They aren't seeing the big picture at all, and they definitely know nothing about dating. But yeah,
past what you feel ready for. Like I've been my entire life pushed beyond what I'm comfortable with, and pushed beyond what I want, pushed beyond what I'm ready for. It's always happened that way. But
that's what are you even talking about? You said weeks. So you want to date somebody and over the course of weeks slowly get intimate with them. Well then, if that's what you want, you have to understand that is wildly outside of the social norm. And you have to make that crystal clear with people before they go on a date with you. Because otherwise they're going to be like, what the hell's going on? This person like seemingly wants nothing to do with me. They want to keep going on dates. Like the way it's going to come across to people is that you're just looking for free meals, that you have no interest in dating, that you just want to go on dates to get like free meals and attention, but you don't actually want a relationship. That's the vibe that everyone you go on a date with is going to have that perception. Like you need to basically tell people, hey, I'm like some crazy cat lady and I just have like some kind of issues, like maybe I'm asexual or something, and I just can't be intimate with somebody until we're dating for like weeks. You need to, if it's gonna happen though, you should tell people like, hey, it'll happen eventually. Because otherwise they're gonna be like, well, what the hell? I'm I don't want to get in a relationship with somebody where I'm never going to be able to establish a physical connection with them. That sounds awful. That sounds very unpleasant. That sounds like I would never be able to build a proper connection and love with them. But yeah, that's part 3 or 4 of this. I'll see you in the next part.